At this point, I'm okay dying on this hill. I'm okay going down with the ship. I'm okay with taking this take to my grave so long as I become a major spokesperson in Norman, Oklahoma. We have got to start respecting the Sooners a lot more when it comes to the SEC in 2024. Yeah, I get it. They didn't go to the college football playoff like the other school that's joining the conference. Yeah, I get it. They have a schedule made by Satan's armpit. Yes, I get it. The road to the postseason is absolutely terrorizing, like a tornado coming at 125 miles an hour. But this is still a great defense led by an excellent coach and coordinator. And the offense is not as bad as people want to make it out to be. Don't believe me? Let's go ahead and discuss. So what's going on, SEC Unfiltered? It's Cole Thompson here. Make sure that you like the video, hit the ring notification. That way you don't miss a single episode of SECU. And of course, hit subscribe because we're talking college football leading up to week 1 and well throughout the chaotic 2024 season. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Make sure that also you're following us on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson and my own YouTube channel at Mr. Cole Thompson and at SEC Unfiltered, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We got you covered. And for the number one content surrounding your favorite conference, the best conference in all of college athletics, make sure you visit SECUnfiltered.com. SEC Unfiltered is brought to you by RHOBACK. Use the promo code SECU for 20% off all joggers, hoodies, polo shorts, and much, much more. Promo code SECU when you use the promo code at RHOBACK.com. Oklahoma is a team that I will die on this hill for. I don't care. I get it at this point. Everyone's going to say they're 7-5. Every other national pundit's going to talk about them going through a little bit of a rehabilitation process. They're not living up to the same standard as Texas. Why? Because their offense isn't at the same pace. Oh, give me a break. Oh, give me a break. Yes, the offensive line is going to be definitely a work in progress. Yes, the wide receivers, they have to build a relationship with Jackson Arnold. Yes, you lose Tyway Walker to Wisconsin. And yes, you're playing against high-profile teams that don't reside in the Big 12. But you know what the old saying is? Just because you haven't done it doesn't mean you can't. Just because you've never been there before doesn't mean it can't be possible. You look at these wide receivers, Nick Anderson, Andrew Anthony, and Deion Burks. What do they all have in common? They can fly down the football field. They all have speeds that can match what would be illegal in some school zones. They can easily make highlight grabs, play after play, move the sticks, and keep the offense toting. So all you got to do is just see an identity by Jackson Arnold at some point during the regular season to where he does get the confidence to build that relationship. Oh, by the way, kind of already did that with the guy by the name of Deion Burks, who I'll be real, was not high on when he was coming out of Purdue. Thought he was a good playmaker. Didn't think he was a number one receiver. If you haven't bought your stock in Deion Burks, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's dwindled. You had a really high price about 2 months ago, and now it's about as low as humanly possible. He's going to be a top 5 wide receiver in the SEC. Not in Oklahoma history, but in the SEC in general, right alongside Luther Burden, right alongside Trey Harris, right alongside any other playmaker that you talk about. And the same thing could be said about Nick Anderson. The same thing could be said about Anthony. You got good tight end play. It's unproven, but you feel good about it. The offensive line. Let's talk about it. You got Bill Beatonbow. You got a great offensive core. You got a great offensive line coach, and you got a great strength and conditioning coach. They know how to build this roster. You don't think that they've been studying for months defensive lines in their war room in a little cave in the back corner with the lights turned off, and they're just sitting there studying like crazy? What are you talking about? This is a team that last year went 10-3. This is a team that last year found an identity in the Big 12, and they went down to the wire at moments with a brand new quarterback being brought in with a brand new offensive coordinator against a really good overall balanced Arizona team. A great defensive line in the Arizona team, by the way. I might also add in, which you're also going to see some of those players when you play in Red River and Dallas because they all went to Texas with Johnny Nason. Not the point. Point is that this is a guy that's been able to develop talent over and over and over again. And it may have taken a little bit of time, but you know what? They found their stride. They found their wagon. Let's talk about Jackson Arnold. Let's talk about what Jackson Arnold could be. The biggest lie I've ever heard in all of college football, especially when it comes to, okay, let me rephrase that. The second biggest lie, because the biggest lie we can all agree is you are what your record says you are. It's an absolute joke. But the second biggest lie that I've ever heard in college football is take the bowl game and use that as a baseline for the expectations. What are you talking about? Who hit you on the head? Who abandoned you as a child to think that that was an okay take? Who told you that those things correlated to success. Because what are you even bringing up? Oh, by the way, you are asking for Jackson Arnold because Dillon Gabriel leaves in the middle of the night to be a difference maker, to be the elite standard, to be basically one of the greatest quarterbacks that's ever come through Norman. You do realize every great playmaker has a great pass catcher. Every great wide receiver needs a good quarterback, but every great quarterback needs a good wide receiver. Go back and look at Joe Burrow in 2019 when he won the Heisman Trophy and he led his team on an epic run when many people had no idea what to expect from LSU. 2 first-round wide receivers. Go look at Kyler Murray when he led his team all the way to a college football playoff appearance underneath he who shall not be named. 2 great wide receivers. Go look back at every single every single quarterback that's won the Heisman Trophy, minus Cam Newton, because let's be real on that one. But everyone else who's won the most coveted college football award, been offensive player of the year in their conference, been one of the faces of college football. Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, you throw in even guys like Bryce Young back in the day, Jalen Milroe last year. What did they all have? Great wide receivers, great playmakers, great offensive identities. And you know what they weren't judged on? One game where opt-outs were a big deal, and they didn't have their offensive coordinator because he took a job down in Starkville, Mississippi, which, by the way, he was not the favorite to get, in my opinion, and John Summerall should be pissed as all hell if he ever gets an opportunity to play in Stark Vegas. The point being, you can't judge one moment of Jackson Arnold simply based off what you can expect moving forward. Dillon Gabriel left because Jackson Arnold arrived. That's the entire premise here, people. And yeah, their schedule is absolutely crazy. But sometimes being able to get battle tested early shows the strengths late. So maybe you drop a game very early on at Auburn. Maybe you go down to the wire with Tennessee as Josh Heupel makes his return. But what happens when you close out the season? When Alabama comes to town and they're looking ahead to their first Iron Bowl underneath Kalen DeBoer? What happens when potentially you have to go play against a team, I don't know, like South Carolina, right after you go ahead and beat up on Texas or bring this down to another close call, as we've seen from time to time. In fact, we've seen more often than not in recent memory, outside of the 49-0 blundering in the few years before when Caleb Williams went off. What happens when you play at Missouri, one of the biggest and best games in the SEC this year? What if those matchups where Jackson Arnold had to get comfortable, maybe threw 2 interceptions, trusted his defense to bail him out, ended up setting a tone for him to be able to build a foundation moving forward? Regardless of what you think of Oklahoma going into this year, ladies and gentlemen, whether you are in Norman, whether you are in Oklahoma City, whether you just hate the Sooners, they're a team that can be unexpected, and that's a good thing. This is an offense that, as long as the line can hold a block, you still have a great rushing attack. You have 3 wide receivers that can, and at least one should, be an all-SEC opponent. You have a good quarterback that by this time next year might be considered one of the best in the SEC. And you got an offensive coordinator that's had an entire offseason to build a relationship with him and lay down his enigma that differed from the last offensive coordinator that left overnight. I'm sorry. I don't know why we are not talking more about Oklahoma in a prominent light, especially because, this defense is going to be balling out now. They just brought in Dominic Williams, and you also get 2 exceptional players back, Danny Sunsman and Billy Bowman. So where's the flaw going into this year? It's like me saying back in the 1980s, where's the beef? I know, I'm wearing like an 80s shirt, not the point. The point is that if you are ready to go ahead and say this Oklahoma offense isn't going to be anything, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Sometimes people with the quiet voices just need to stay quiet. So do us all a favor. By the way, let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Is Oklahoma's offense actually going to live up to expectations in 2024? Can it be a team that does overexceed what many people believe? And can they actually hold their own against other opponents throughout college football? Make sure that also you download the podcast version of the show, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you get your podcast listening systems. If you love this type of content, especially Oklahoma fans, because I can be bought for my allegiance this year, and I'm going to be completely real, you And Missouri fans right now have the lead. So it's kind of like I'm a high-profile recruit, and I would love to be able to claim my allegiance to you. But Missouri's making a good argument. Make sure you leave a 5-star review on iTunes. We'll also give you a sticker in the process. Make sure that also you're following me on my own YouTube channel at Mr. Cole Thompson. I talk national college football over there. Make sure you're following us on social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at SEC Unfiltered. And for the number one content surrounding your favorite conference, a conference that Oklahoma belongs in, I will throw in, make sure you visit secunfiltered.com. I'm Cole Thompson. Have a safe and happy Memorial Day, folks. Later.